25 years ago.
Women hold the key to unlocking economic growth in the country, and more needs to be done to foster female entrepreneurship. That is the basis for the founding of the WDB Investment Holdings, hosting this discussion. The dialogue session that focuses on providing access to finance for women entrepreneurs is considered an integral one, given that women have traditionally always been underrepresented in the economy in one way or another and remain underrepresented to some degree. The WDB maintains that even though great strides have been made over the last 25 years to provide access to finance for women entrepreneurs to bring their ideas to life and to make a positive contribution, they maintain this process has to be a never-ending one.
It's a very important agenda because even though we've made some strides, over at least the past 20 years as a democratic country, we have not really moved far enough. We know that women are still very constrained and confined in this economy. We know that the statistics around, for example, just focusing on the SMMEs, we know that there is close to 6 million SMMEs, and close to 50% of those are women-owned SMMEs. But the majority of the women-owned businesses are still informal, and they are relegated to being survivalist businesses.
Government has been pumping funds into developing small and medium-sized businesses over the years. SEDA and SEFA are mandated to assist entrepreneurs in respect of their business development plans and access to finance, respectively.
There are very, very strong women out there that are running businesses, very strong businesses that are very sustainable that we need to really continue to assist. We have funded women who are also in the mining space in terms of our funding activities, in agriculture and agro-processing. We tend to find a number of women that come into activities, but we can be able to do more. Some it might be because maybe they are not aware of what we provide. And women invariably they tend to pay more back the money than men, as it were, in terms of if you look in terms of, when you give money to a woman will always pay, but men, with due respect, sometimes you find that there's a bit of a challenge. They utilize money for other projects and then not paying us or other aspects. So, but we need to be able to do more. I think from our side, what we have identified is that we need to go out there and disseminate information in terms of the availability of funding, particularly to women projects.
In South Africa, overall, small and medium-sized businesses contribute around 51 to 57% of GDP. However, this is low when compared to other countries very advanced in promoting entrepreneurial activity.
If you look at countries like India and Brazil, for example, comparable economies, you probably find about 90% of the economy is driven by small businesses. So it can happen here as well. You just need the right instruments. I think access to markets becomes very critical from a policy point of view. If you can free up markets both in government and the private sector for small businesses, so at least people know that there's a already agreed and identified market for me. Then organizations like SEFA and SEDA can come in and assist you, knowing that there is a market that's sort of pushed by policy to exist for you.
It comes down to having and fostering an entrepreneurial spirit, one that is flourishing in some of the most developed countries in the world, like the US. Ultimately, this is the ticket to higher economic growth and self-fulfilling occupations.
Some people venture into business because of necessity. I'm retrenched, unemployed, what should I do? Maybe I look for business. But if you combine that with passion, that yes, indeed, this is the only chance that I have, but I'm passionate about it, not just doing as by the way. You need to be able to say, this is something that I want to drive. In business, there are quite a number of risks. There are people who started the business, they fail. And then, again, one aspect for us, I think if you have to look at maybe the ecosystem from an education point of view, all of us, we are trained to be employees. We are not trained to be employers. So we are not trained to be entrepreneurs from schools. I think if one can be able to build that, to build the entrepreneurship from lower level so that at least it resonates on young people. And when you grow up, you then have to choose whether you are going straight into employment or you're going to be an employer and identify opportunity in which to look at.
In sub-Saharan Africa, if one has to compare levels of entrepreneurship activities, South Africa is not the most inspiring.
the general entrepreneurial culture of South Africa compared to Sub-Saharan Africa. GEM report covers this quite extensively. Countries like Uganda, for example, are more entrepreneurial than us, whether it's a legacy of an education system, for example, that really prepares you for employment as opposed to equipping you to identify opportunities and start a business. So we're not as entrepreneurial as our neighbors.
Over the last 2 centuries, experts have been dealing with issues of economic growth in the underdeveloped parts of the world. They have always cited fostering an entrepreneurship spirit as the cornerstone to overall economic success of any nation. Nashina Mohammed for Joburg Today.